All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is March 30th, 2026. I am Brett Johnson. This is the Brett Johnson Show. Good morning to everyone out there. I hope your weekend was amazing. I hope everyone is groovy. Hope everybody's doing okay today. Of course, I'm running late. I'm running late because I was looking for something. To show up on a Dropbox account. And guess what? It didn't show up. So I don't know. I just know that nothing showed up on the Dropbox account. So I'm going to check one more time. Because I'm someone that is an optimist. I see the donut like Sheriff Joe does. I don't see the hole. I see the glass as half full, not half empty. I'm an eternal optimist. That's what I am. I take lemons and I make lemonade out of it. That's exactly what I do. All right. So let's see what the devil. Let's see here. Secure uploads. Where the hell's the secure uploads file? Some of my bitch. So how is everyone today? Excuse me while I get distracted trying to check this Dropbox account one more time. Okay. I was under upload secure. Okay. Yep. Not a damn thing there. So, okay. So my name is Brett Johnson. This is the Brett Johnson Show. This is a show that has morphed over the years to become the show where the people of Kentucky stomp out corruption, fraud, and predators. And I believe that this show has finally found its calling, its spot, its niche. That's what I believe. I know that I am finding a lot of fulfillment with the way the show is now. A friend of mine, she texted me over the weekend, and she asked me, and she was like, Brett, and she was talking about, she was like, I'm worried about your safety. And she ended up asking me, I don't know if it was, am I pleased or am I happy? Maybe it was both. But, and my response was, I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing happening right now. Okay. I'm very pleased with people all over Eastern Kentucky and outside of Eastern Kentucky. I had a gentleman from New Zealand that reached out and he said, hey, I see what you're doing with these folk from Hazard. You've turned full vigilante on them. Burn their asses to the ground. So I'm very pleased with the feedback. I'm pleased that we've had a lot of success with getting people like Timothy Brown and Natasha Combs fired, and the FBI is now looking into things, and Noah Back was finally charged with murder. I'm very pleased with that. Happy is other than happy, Mobilini. Happy is another word. Guys, when I was committing crime, I did not give a damn about my victims. I didn't care. I justified my crimes. And that's one of the things you find out about criminals. We are not all sociopaths. And a lot of us have to be able to justify our crimes by being, we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, we're actually good guys at the end of the day. And, you may have seen this in movies. Denzel Washington played a character, a gentleman by the name of Lucas. I forgot what his last name, what his full name is, but American Gangster. And we saw that Frank Lucas. We saw that Frank Lucas helped the neighborhood a lot. John Gotti, for example, used to give out turkeys, and the neighborhood was protected. You go down to Brazil today, and the favelas, law enforcement does not police Sao Paulo. All right. Who polices Sao Paulo are the cartels. Yeah, they're breaking the law. They run drugs, they get people addicted, everything else, but they wiped out most of the other types of crime. Like it used to be, you'd go down to Brazil, you'd hit the beach, and you'd be lucky if a gang of children would not come up to you and rob the shit out of you and maybe kill you. And the way the cartels took care of that is they killed all the kids. So the reason I say I did not care about my victims, and criminals don't, but we have to be able to justify and say that we're good people. We do bullshit. We give to charity or homeless people. I was very big about giving to homeless people when I was committing crime. I didn't develop an empathy for my victims until I got over to the good guy side, and people would reach out to me. Like I've got a person today that's calling that may be a victim of a romance scam, and I'm going to have a talk with them, a conversation. I didn't develop empathy for my victims until I got on the good guy side, and I would have victims, not my victims, but just victims, reaching out to me and telling me their story about how they had lost their life savings, or how the mother of a son had just on Social Security had lost her entire home to a romance scammer. And over the years, and I've developed a very deep sense of empathy for victims. The reason I'm telling you this is that happy with what I'm doing. I'm very pleased with what's happening, but it's hard to be happy when I have people reaching out to me who have been victims of sexual assault. And I want those people to reach out to me. I absolutely do. I'm getting these messages of people who either they were children and they were sexually assaulted, or they were adults and they were sexually assaulted. And sometimes law enforcement, sometimes people did not report it. Like I think it's like 60%, maybe higher than that, of all sexual assaults go unreported. Go unreported. They don't report. Like that poor girl who went to that school trip with Happy Mobilini, Sheena Breeding, and Luke Glazer. We knew of one victim who had been raped. She complained. She was derided. She was outcast. The adults, Donald Mobilini, Sheena Breeding, Luke Glazer, told her that it was her fault, everything else. And because of that, another victim who had been raped on that exact same trip did not say anything. She did not speak out. So about at least 60% of all sexual assaults go unreported. Unreported. And the number is probably much higher than that, because people are also they victims of an assault like that. They tend to blame themselves. They always question, what did I do wrong? And they did nothing wrong. I've said before, and I'll say again, the victim of a crime is never to be blamed for that which is perpetrated upon them. Regardless, I don't give a flying fuck what that victim has done. They are not to be blamed for the crime which is perpetrated upon them. So no, I'm not happy. I know that we are doing a lot of good. I know that. So I just wanted to get that out there. This is serious stuff that we're doing. I get up here a lot and I laugh and I joke and I roast the absolute fuck out of those people who need to be roasted. And I do that with a purpose. The purpose is if we can laugh at these son of a bitches, that makes them less powerful in our mind and in the community's mind. And the less power that they have, the more power that we have. Power is never in a vacuum. That power will always transition somewhere. And however we need to take that away from them, that gives us more power at the end of the day. So that's a lot of the reason why I do this. All right. Pleased, yes. Happy. It's hard to be happy when when someone reaches out to you and says, "I was raped. I tried to file a report, and law enforcement didn't do anything," or a prosecutor said, "Well, she's got the body of an adult." It's hard to be happy when you're hearing stories like that. I'm going to check comments and we're going to get started on this show. I just wanted to open up the show talking about that. And again, realizing that this is a very serious thing that we're doing. This started because of Emma Lynn. And I'm not going to forget that. And we do not need to forget that. It started because a child predator, Noah Back, son of Bill Back and Angie Back, who had been preying on children for years, chose first to rape children and then to get his current victim in an ATV, supply her alcohol because Emma Lynn did not drink. We know that for a fact. Supply her with alcohol. He was driving in the vehicle with another child predator, a child predator of males. He wrecked, and then evidently a law enforcement officer talked Noah Back's child victim, the surviving one, into saying that she was driving the vehicle. And the sheriff, the Perry County Sheriff's Office, decided not to do any real investigation at all. At all. They gave the vehicle back to Noah Back. I've heard reports that he took the vehicle that night. I was originally told that they delivered the vehicle back the next day. I know they didn't rope the area off. They didn't examine the vehicle. They didn't do shit. They didn't do shit. That's why this started. And what happened was I was reached out to and I was asked if I could do something. And I was like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And within a very short span of hours, it became apparent that, yeah, this is the outcome, or one of the outcomes. You want to know the outcome of all this stuff? Look at any victim that's out there. Look at that poor lady who had her water bill because she just disagreed with Donald Mobilini having children grind on his crotch. She just disagreed with that. Like there's something wrong with having a problem with that. And she had her water bill increased from $30 up to $900 as punishment. It became apparent to me within a few hours that first of all, it wasn't going to be just me. Yeah, I could do some damage, just me. God knows I can. But it became apparent that we could really do something if we banded together. And that is exactly what has been happening. Now, I mentioned on the show, now I had my little sign up on Saturday saying, Perry County prosecutor, Commonwealth attorney John Hanson, no good, very bad day. And I said more Noah Back. And I said, I forgot what the next one was. Supposed to get a Dropbox file. And that thing may very well show up. All right. That may very well show up. All right. Sorry, I had to check messages about said Dropbox file. When it shows up, I'll cross that bridge at that point in time. All right. That being said, I have been getting people who have been reaching out, who have been giving me or trying to give me false information. Make the Brett Johnson show A fake news show. This is not my first rodeo. All right. Again, the attempts to do that, it only illustrates that you do not understand or know your opponent. Not just me, the people of Eastern Kentucky. It also shows that you have not done a proper assessment of the battlefield or battleground. If you would have taken the time to Google me and then to reach out to some of those who have experience with me on the law enforcement side, you would know that there is a reason that I was placed on the United States Most Wanted list. And that reason is what you are reaping today. Except I was doing that for the bad guys. All right? That is the reason that I was on the United States Most Wanted list. Yeah, I helped create modern day cybercrime. Now it's the third largest economy on the planet. I helped to do that, largely responsible for that. But the reason that I was U.S. Most Wanted is because of that skill that I have that's almost inherent of being able to socially engineer things, of being able to manipulate systems and groups of individuals to what I need to happen. And you bad guys are seeing that manipulation now done against you. If you were outside of that, you would be able to sit back with your popcorn or some tasty cookies by Christie, which I picked up at Kroger on the way back from Atlanta. They are magically delicious. They truly are. This is the oatmeal raisin cookie. It's got oatmeal. It's got raisins. It's got a wonderful buttery taste to it. It's not as good as those pantry shelf donuts, but they are exceptionally good. And anytime I'm around a Kroger, because we don't have them in Birmingham, I always stop by to get me a box of cookies by Christie. If you've not tried them, by all means, hop down to the Kroger and get you some cookies by Christie and then wash it down with a nasty ass Monster Rehab energy drinks. And those are my unpaid promos of the day. Anyway, you could, if you were outside of what's happening to you, you could view this and you could say, good Lord, what is this son of a bitch actually capable of? And the answer is a lot. I offered, and the offer still stands. Happy and Scott Alexander and Scott Blair and the Back family. The offer still stands because right now I'm as happy as Scott Blair would be if he were in a tree filled with dicks. That's how happy I am. All right. We are beating absolute dog shit out of you. So if you'd like to schedule a Zoom session, complimentary, I'll do it for free. I will give you the best advice on how to defend your position because you really need it. Let's check the comments. We'll get started. All right. Sandra, howdy. Caitlin Watson, howdy. Merlene, howdy. How you doing? Lisa Barrett, good morning from the big city of Vico. Good morning to Vico. I don't know if Martin's is still there, but in my day, I did. Was it Martin's? I think it was Martin's. In my day, I did shoplift from Martin's. Nothing to be proud of, but it happened. Sandra Reed, found you a song you need to play. Fits the theme of how we feel. By all means, send the song. We'll play snippets of it. All right. Howard Sumner, good morning, brother. And Lisa Barrett, you can justify anything in your own mind, but it still doesn't make it right. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. And we're going to get into that in just a second. Dina, good morning, Brett and Pookie. Yeah, Pookie, I guess he's laying down. I got some laundry out of the dryer And I think he's laying on top of that because it's warm. He was in my lap here before I started the show. Missy Woods, good morning. Lisa Combs, good morning. Tammy Crawford, good morning to you as well. Lori, good morning. Tiff Gross, how you doing? All right. Fuck off, Kentucky, fuck off. Good morning from Hazard. And good morning, Hazard. Hope you guys are doing great. Somebody sent me a picture of a sunset in Hazard, and this was yesterday, and they asked if it made me miss home. And yeah, guys, I miss the area. I do. I really miss the area. When I was there, I didn't appreciate the area. Yeah, I didn't appreciate the area, and these days I miss those hills. I miss those hills. Let's see, Sheila. I see the PCS page, Perry County Sheriff page back up, and certain things are removed, like the video where he charged a 16-year-old with DUI. I'm going to comment on that just in a second. Elizabeth Hall, good morning. Baby Blue, Brett, this community needs your strength and support. You're bringing hope back to Hazard. A lot of us are behind you. The ones that aren't are part of the problem. That is absolutely correct. You guys got to understand that I'm up here. I'm up here talking. And I'm very good about organizing information. I do it all in my head. And I'm very good about knowing, what needs to be done on the fly and adapting on the fly. What we're doing, and this is the crazy thing, what we're doing is we're calling out people who prey on children, people who rape or want to rape children. We're calling out corrupt individuals. We're calling out the wrongdoings in an area, and the crowd against us is not very big, but we are getting people who are defending pedophiles. We're getting people who are against doing the right damn thing. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand. Those who have power, or those who bootlick those who have power, are scared of losing it. So they have what's called cognitive dissonance, faulty thinking. They're fucked up in the head. And because of that, you see a lot of what's going on right now. Hey, Brett, where do we find the Dropbox info? Hey, hold on. I'm going to post it. Let me know if you see this in the comment sections. I'll post it on Facebook as well as soon as this show is over. Let me find out where that file is real quick. I forgot there it is. All right, let's see, share folder. Hold on, give me just a second. Share folder, copy link, and back to the comment section. So this is the Dropbox folder that has the complete education files of, well, not the complete. What's missing is they did not include anything that was still pending. Did I say that? I said that. They did not include anything that was still pending. Holy fuck. So the mayor of Hazard, who's been mayor a minute, still has pending bullshit that they weren't able to include in his education file because it's still pending. A lot of that's those lawsuits. Well, he's got a ton against him. He does. All right. If you guys didn't see if it doesn't show in your comments, the link to that Dropbox, let me know. I'll post it on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Twitter, and the YouTube comments as well. I'll post it as soon as this show's over. All right. Holly Stacy, good morning. Good morning to you as well. Sandra Minyard, I still think if there wasn't so many of us pissed off because of this case, but it's bullying that is a common binding agent. You are bringing us hope that one day we may get rid of evil. And I am that optimist. This same friend that asked if I was pleased and happy, she had another friend that he does not believe you can change things. He does not believe that change happens because there's so much bad in the world. I, however, and this is the crazy thing, the guy who used to do crime, I absolutely have faith that not only can things change, but one person can change things. But we're more than one person right now. But I have absolute faith. You may call that narcissism, and maybe it is. But I have absolute, unwavering faith that things can change. I have absolute faith in human beings. We tend to be a very good and decent people. We want to do the right damn thing. Sometimes we're not able to, but we want to. And if we're given that avenue where we can, we often do. All right. Sandra Minyard, exactly, baby blue. Deborah Brown, because you know what you're doing to give false information to set yourself up for an investigation by Brett Johnson, whom you could not compete with in technology. I mean, I do have some degree of skill. All right. Brian Campbell, enjoying the show, bro. Watch with the wifey every morning. Well, Brian, good morning to you and good morning to the wifey. All right. Former teachers here, and we know firsthand the level of corruption, and it's gross. And I have a lot of teachers reaching out to me. Good morning, Brett and Pookie. Good morning, Blue Dodger. I'm sure Pookie would say good morning too, but I guess his ass is nice and cozy in that laundry that I just got out of the dryer. Pookie, Pookie would be a much better. This is Brian Campbell. He says Pookie 2028. Pookie would be a much better sheriff than Joe Engel. I just got to be honest with you. Just got to throw it out there. Got to tell you. And I'm going to tell you why I know that as well in just a second. Watching. Okay, so Deborah Brown says the link did come up. Missy Combs, can they charge him with child pornography over any nudes on his phone? They absolutely can. Will they? Different question. The feds, though, yeah, they don't. Yeah, they'll. Yeah. What's going on? Noah back. I'm going to tell you in just a second. Mary Gail Browning, good morning. Hope you have a great day. Same to you, Mary Gail. My hubby just called and said Brett Johnson is on. I said, yes, I'm watching. Sheila, thank you. And thank you to hubby of Sheila. All right. J.L. Stevenson, good morning. And Lori, we got to see Pookie today. And I'll call him over in a minute. I don't know why he's usually at my feet, like, pick me up. I got to say hello. But he's not saying that. Okay. So I've been talking about John Hanson. I'm not going to say, not that I won't, I'm not going to say anything negative about him today. And the reason I'm not, it turns out, from what I've been told, it turns out that he never saw the video of Noah Back buying the alcohol at Ramey's and putting the alcohol in the lap of his child victim that he had been raping since the age of 13, and then getting in the driver's seat and driving off. Turns out that he never saw that video. Now, what he was told, this is what I've been informed of. What he was told was, and you guys are going to love this bullshit. And bear in mind, he was told this by the head law enforcement officer. Now, this is what I've been told. All right, this is what I've been told. But I was told that he was told by the head law enforcement officer that the video showed the girl, Noah Back, coming out with the case of beer, placing the case of beer in the lap of the child he'd been raping. The child was in the driver's seat, and she drove off. That's what I have been informed of. Now, is that correct? I don't know. But I was also informed that upon seeing a couple of pictures from the Brett Johnson show that we posted here a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that showed Noah Back getting in the driver's seat after he placed the beer into the lap of the child he had been raping, that was in the passenger seat. I'm told that after he saw those pictures, that he was a little irate. Now, Is that true? I don't know. You know how we're going to know that's true? We're going to know that's true if within the next couple of days, those DUI charges are dropped against that child. Because we all know that child was not driving. There's also video from a neighbor very close to the accident that shows, guess who driving? No, not the child. No back. I was told that the Perry County Sheriff's Office did not request or had no real interest in that video. That's what I've been told. All right. We're going to know if some of that's true if within the next couple of days, those charges are dismissed against that child. That's how we're going to know that. That's how we're going to know that. All right. Check comments. We will go right the hell along. Okay. Tanya Gay, good freaking morning to you as well. Pookie, see, Pookie, I don't know where you are, buddy, but wherever the devil you are, you're already getting votes. You've got more votes right now than Sheriff Joe Engel does. Imagine that. Imagine that, my friend. Stephanie Smith. Morning, been on phone. Hate I missed the first part, but we'll rewatch. Good morning, Pookie. Good morning to you, Stephanie. Natasha, to some degree of skill, go ahead and say it just once. You're elite at what you do. It's okay to boast a little about your nerd expertise at least once. I am the best at what I do. I am. And that's a shame that it happened on the bad side of things. It is, I consider it a blessing that I'm able to do it on the good guy side. I am of the absolute firm belief that I am exactly at this moment where I am supposed to be. I have faith in that. I know that I am doing right now exactly what I am supposed to be doing. And I know unwaveringly that everything, good and bad, that I have done in my life, and everything good and bad that has been done to me, has given me the ability to do these things. And I will tell you unashamedly that only comes from God above. That's where that comes from. All right, Deborah Hall, good morning. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but I think this is Jalia or Alia Arrowwood Carter. Yes, you are. Thank you, Ali. I appreciate that. Richard Clark. Cop is lying, shitbag pedo. No, cop is lying, shitbag pedo Noah back was driving. Joe pedo lover cover-up is not going to happen on this case. I went straight to the FBI on Monday after my granddaughter was killed by the pedo Noah back. Rich, I respect you. I am so sorry for your all's loss. I truly am. Lori, amen. I agree. D. Abner, I promise you, there is a bunch that wishes you did not have the skill. I want to read something to you. I was going to start out the show reading it, but it was more important to talk about that sexual assault that I wanted to mention, the people who have been victimized to that degree. And you know, while I'm very pleased with what is happening, this is a very sober, very serious thing that we're doing. All right. So you might recognize this if you've ever watched the movie Pulp Fiction. It says Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you. Now, come here, buddy. Pookie, they're wanting you to run for sheriff. I say we elect you. We'll give you a badge right there. Now, that, Ezekiel 25, is absolutely some cold-blooded shit to say before you pop a cap in a motherfucker. But that is not Ezekiel 25. Turns out that Quentin Tarantino, he didn't read his Bible any more than Joe Engel reads his Bible. All right. What Quentin Tarantino did is he was a big Sonny Chiba fan. Martial arts. Yeah, Kung Sui, blah, blah, blah. He was a big Kung Fu fan, especially Sonny Chiba. Sonny Chiba in 1976, he had this thing called The Bodyguard. And in this movie, he says Ezekiel 25, and it even has it on screen. It scrolls up on screen. And those are the exact words that they quote as Ezekiel 25. That is not what Ezekiel 25 says. What Ezekiel 25 says is it says, Ezekiel 25:17, what it actually says is, I will execute great vengeance on them with furious rebukes, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon them. Now, you may say, well, that's the same thing. No, it's not. It's not. Now, Paul, and Joe, I'm doing this for you, for your benefit, because it seems that maybe you need to open the good book. All right. Now, that's what Ezekiel 25:17 actually says. And why that the difference in that is important, what Tarantino does in rewriting that, and again, when we're talking about Tarantino films, Tarantino has his own universe, all right? Meaning that the events in Tarantino's world do not take place in our world, all right? In Tarantino's world, he lives in a world, or the characters live in a world where Hitler was assassinated in Inglourious Bastards, all right? And because of those events, the degree of violence in Tarantino's world is much higher, all right? So in Tarantino's world, their Bible may say something like that because that's not really God, all right? What Tarantino does in rewriting 25:17 is he says that that God blesses those people who enact violence upon evil people. That is not the Bible. It's not. It's not. Jesus, and I know we're Old Testament, New, there's a difference between old and new. Jesus, there are two main things, 2 points in the Bible. And I'm not, guys, I don't want you to think that this is a sermon. It's not. I do not call myself a Christian. I am not conceited enough to do that. And I'm not saying that anyone who does is conceited. I'm not prideful enough to do that. I'm of the opinion that when that day comes, that up there, they can tell me whether I've been a Christian instead of me proclaiming it a lot. All right. That's the rewriting. So you can imagine that if that were the correct Ezekiel passage, that perhaps Dr. Martin Luther King would have given a much different sermon. It wouldn't have been, we got a dream. It would have been, let's get these motherfuckers. That's what it would have been. All right. That's what it would have been. So that's the difference. Now, as long as we're in the Bible, check comments real quick. Don Campbell, you do a great job. Give it up to Pookie. He's a bomb. Pookie is outstanding. All right. So I know it may be strange, but I have my nifty Bible here. Yep. I got one. And I believe I like the King James Version. And the reason I like the King James Version is I like the poetry better in that. I understand that, there are better translations and stuff like that. I understand that. So, but I like King James Version better. Old school. That's what I grew up, Manus Roberts, that Church of Christ preacher, he went by the King James Version. And that means I go by the King James Version. All right. So, Joe, if you don't mind, buddy, if you're following along, because you may not know where it's located, Romans 2:11. Now, Joe, Romans, if you don't know where it is in the book, because I know it may have been a minute since you picked up the book. If you don't know where it is, it's the book of Romans, very short book. It's right after Acts, but before Corinthians. And that, again, you may not know, that is in the New Testament. So you have these things called the Old Testament, and then you have the New Testament. The New Testament is the fulfillment of the Old Testament, just so we're on the same page. All right. So I'm going to read just a short verse from Romans. And again, this is not a Bible show. It's not. I don't care if you are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, you're Rastafarian. I don't care. The Bible, whether you believe in it or not, has a lot of good wisdom. Jesus, he says two things that everyone should follow by. Love thy neighbor, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If we all did that, might not be a bad world. So, Joe, Romans 2:11. All right. 2:11. For there is no respect of persons with God. That, oh boy, that's a thought for the day right there. We're going to get into Luke 12 here in a minute. All right. But that is a thought for the day there. Now, why is that a thought for the day? Well, because, hold on here a minute. Because it turns out that oftentimes we put leaders or individuals before God. God has no respect of people. God does not care if you are rich or poor. That's for you preachers out there who preach that prosperity gospel. Hope you burn in hell. God does not care if you're rich or poor, if you're educated or uneducated, if you're, come here, buddy, if you're important or not, if you have earthly power or not. God doesn't care. Turns out that all flesh is equal when burned. That is a lyric from an Avatar song. All flesh is equal when burned. Don't care about your color. Don't care about anything else. Everybody comes into this world naked and shitting on themselves, and everyone leaves this world naked and shitting themselves. We're all equal at the end of the day. None of us are above the other. But we have a thing as human beings where we put stock in someone who has more money. We put stock, we respect people more if they have power, if they can assist us, if they whatever that is. They're an influencer. We respect people more on that. God doesn't do that. God doesn't give a damn about any of that, because all flesh is equal when burned. Joe, and I saw you put some post up about somebody being a member of your church. First of all, I had people comment and tell me that he ain't a member of that guy's church. I don't know if that's true or not. I ain't stepped into the building. Not gonna. All right, but I did read that comment where you said your church. I would appreciate it. Now, this is a King James Bible. I'm sure you can pick up the American Standard, whatever you want to pick up. If you could show me anywhere in that text where your name appears, I would truly appreciate that. Because I'm pretty sure that your name, Joe Engel, is not in that book anywhere. And I'm absolutely confident that you do not have a church. I'm even more confident that that church, if it's a church, belongs to that God up there. That's what I am absolutely 100% confident of. You don't have shit. What would Paul, let's be honest, he made that career calling them churches out that were screwing up. What would Paul have to say about you saying it was your church? From my reading, Moses, and let's be honest, you ain't Moses. Moses had that prideful moment, and God let him wander in the desert for 40 years until he found the promised land. And once he got there, he didn't let him in because he had that one prideful moment. And you ain't Moses. Just saying, just throwing that bullshit out there. Stephanie Smith, that rich man be begging for a drop of water. Material things mean nothing. Material things mean nothing to God. We come into this world naked and shitting ourselves, and we leave this world naked and shitting ourselves. Respect of persons? Absolutely not. And while I'm on that, people who watch this show, I don't want you to agree with everything that I'm saying. We are not a cult. Human beings have the capacity to think for themselves. They do. They do. Everyone has their own opinion. My opinion is more valuable to me. All right. If you disagree with something, I ain't got a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. Because overall, we are working toward the same goal. If you don't agree with something I say, that's fine. That's you. That's fine. Seriously, that's fine. I've seen some comments of, well, you believe everything he says. Well, I'm telling the truth, first of all. And, if you got a problem with that, I spoke to an individual yesterday that had a problem and gave the individual my cell phone number. Hey, call me. We'll talk it out. Called. I think we spoke for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I didn't try to change their mind, anything else like that. And I said, hey, this is what I've got. This is what's going on. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to stop that. All right. So I'll talk things out. I'm not going to argue and deride you, except if you're one of these idiots that's, licking the boots of pedophiles and those who protect pedophiles and those who are corrupt. I'm not going to do that. That's a different God than they worship around here. That's exactly right. The God that these people that we're stomping out worship a green God. They worship a God who doesn't frown upon children being raped. The God that I know that it took me years to start to accept isn't that God. It isn't. It's that God who says, love thy neighbor as thyself and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's not what we're seeing in a lot of these people in Eastern Kentucky. Stephanie Smith, it's the Lord's house. It's not your church, Joe. We all have a past, and thank God we serve a forgiving and merciful God. I pray for Mr. Engel. So, I had a friend of mine that she commented, and she made an exceptionally good comment. Stephanie, they need to be in church. It's preach ingredients for the truth. Absolutely. She made a comment saying, perhaps Sheriff Joe Engel should read or reference Luke chapter 12. I would absolutely agree. Now, what is Luke chapter 12? Chapter 12 is Jesus warning against hypocrisy and greed and urging disciples to fear God rather than man, and that trust in the divine over material security. Hence, my starting with Ezekiel 25. You don't get blessings for that. God doesn't bless you for that, because Romans 2:11, God is not a respecter of persons. God is not a respecter of persons. And if God is not a respecter of persons, why in the hell should we be? You're CEO of a company. I do not give a damn. You wipe your ass the same as I do, hopefully with your right hand. Now, hopefully with your left hand, because if you travel to the Middle East, you better not be wiping with that hand. They frown upon that. That's why when you steal something, they cut off your right hand over there. That way you have to shake with your left hand, which is an insult to anyone over there, because you're supposed to wipe your bum with your left hand, unless you're Scott Blair, whose bum is like throwing a hot dog down a highway, and he has to use both hands and an entire rolled up roll of paper towels just to get that area. But he may not have to worry about that, because, again, it's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway, and I guess the turds just fall out. I'm not a preacher. Preacher wouldn't say something like that at the pulpit, nor should he. Nor should he. So that's what Luke 12 actually does. I'm going to read just a few bits from Luke 12, because Sheriff Joe is obviously unaware of, my Lord, it just occurred to me, he may not even be aware there's a thing called the Bible. His grandfather was aware. Marian Eastep. We'll talk about Marion here in a second. Right, Sheriff? Right. So, passages, Luke 12, verses 1 through 3. In the meantime, when there were gathered together an innumerable multitude of people, insomuch that they trode upon one another, he began to say unto his disciples, first of all, beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness, shall be heard in the light. And that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops, or on the Brett Johnson show. I mean, do I need... I tend to speak in small words for Joe. Do I need to explain what that means? I mean, do I? I mean, that seems... That, I mean, I know that a lot of the verses in the Bible are somewhat hard for humans to understand. You know, if you understand as a child, you get it. A lot of people try not to do that. They take things outside of the text. And, you know, what we need, really, everything that you need to understand about the Bible tends to be in the Bible. You know, we can get outside sources that help explain things further, but we should always refer to the text. And if you can see that, Luke chapter 12, there's a lot of red. And the reason it's red, and Joe, I know you may not know this either, the reason that's red is those are the words of Jesus. Now, Jesus is the Son of God, all right? So that's in red. To me, anything that's in red in the Bible takes priority over anything else that's in the Bible. Priority. Go by that first, follow on with the second. All right. And that's just my belief. I know it's weird, but that's my belief. Okay. Now, that's 1 through 3. 4 through 7, disciples are encouraged to fear only God. He holds the eternal authority rather than those who only harm the body, trusting in God's care even for the smallest of us. All right. Then, of course, you've got the parable of the rich fool. You've got getting ready for the master's return when, some of my bitches, hypocrites, and you've said the funniest thing is, you brought back your page. You brought back, I won't read any more chapter 12. Everyone's welcome to go with that. Okay. Look up Luke 12. There's a ton of good lessons to be learned from the book. And I'm not a preacher. I'm not. But the thing is that Martin Luther tells me that I don't have to be a preacher in order to pick up that book and say something out of it, as long as I'm saying it correct. Paul even says, don't add anything to it. Like Quentin Tarantino, don't take anything out of it. If you do, the same bullshit is going to be done to you when you go up there and you have to answer. I'm not a preacher, so I'm not going to go through all of 12. I was actually thinking about that before I got on the show. I was like, I'll just go through 12 and give that. I don't think there's a necessity to do that. People can you can Google, if you don't have a Bible, you can Google it, and it'll tell you in whatever version of the text that you'd like to read. And it'll even break down for you what Luke chapter 12 is and what it does and why it's important. All right. Joe brings back, so he threatened, he tried that intimidation bullshit on his Facebook page by posting a video of the people who were following the Brett Johnson show, just those people who were watching. Now, Joe, I got to tell you, man, I don't know if you remember who Rush Limbaugh is, but Rush Limbaugh had as many haters, probably more people that hated him than that liked him. Okay. Not everyone who listened to Rush Limbaugh agreed with what Rush Limbaugh was saying. I'm going to tell you right now, because you watch this friggin' show too. I don't know why you didn't block you. Everyone who watches the Brett Johnson show don't like Brett Johnson. Who would have thought? Happy Marbellini don't like Brett Johnson. Now, Mama Marbellini might, and I'm sure she is disappointed in her boy, because she raised him to be better than that. And I know you were at one point. Evidently you were. Now, that's long before. You let children grind on your crotch, and you took them to, you blamed one for getting raped, and you took more children to a Kid Rock concert and gave them alcohol and marijuana and took pictures of them in sexual positions and all that. That's long before that. Maybe when you were, a kid, you were better than that. You ain't better than that now. You damn well ain't better than that now. Mama Marbellini has got to be disappointed in her boy. So Sheriff Joe posted, he tried to intimidate the followers or the watchers of Brett Johnson show without understanding how that bullshit actually works. So, he obviously, blocked some people that didn't like me. Now, that was not his intent. But he tried that intimidation move. Now, the thing with that, my rights and the people who tune into the show, our rights are different than that of a public servant. They're different. And the reason that they're different is because Joe promised or took an oath to be a public servant. That's important. He may not know it's important, but it's important because when he did that, he's not allowed at that point to use his position of power to intimidate protesters. And that is exactly what we are. We are protesters. We're not getting out there and the action that we're taking is calling for justice. We're not committing a crime. He's not allowed to intimidate a protester. That's a violation of our First Amendment rights. That's exactly what that is. He's not allowed, this fucking idiot is not allowed, or I'm sorry, I do mean to call him a fucking idiot, but let's repeat what got him so mad. This son of a bitch is not allowed to block people from the Perry County Sheriff's Office webpage or Facebook page. You're not allowed to do that. The Perry County Sheriff's Office is no more yours than that church is yours. That church is God's. The sheriff's station belongs to the people that you have denied access to, the people who you have violated their civil rights. You want to know why he took that bullshit down? Somebody probably hot dogged down a hallway that no longer has a law certificate or a certificate to practice law. Somebody probably told him, Joe, that Brett Johnson is not a dumbass. It's obvious. Hell, the FBI called him during the show. He's not a dumbass. He probably is well aware of what's going on, and he told you were going to fuck up, and before the end of the day, it was going to be called the Brett Johnson Sheriff's Department. Told you that. My advice, even though I've got a rectum as big as a hallway and there's hot dogs going down it all the time, my advice is to remove that bullshit post haste and pray that he doesn't notice it. Well, it's not like I don't notice things. And if I don't notice things, I promise you, we've got an entire group of people that are more than happy to tell me what I didn't notice. That's what I know. Let's look at the comments. We're going to talk about Marian Eastep. All right, so I see a lot of smiley faces. Stephanie Smith, wolf in sheep's clothing, absolutely right. Donna Hooker Everso, you can't pick certain verses to live by. You got to take it all. That's exactly right. You got to take it all. You can't take a verse out of context. You got to read it in the whole of not only the chapter and the book, but the entire book. All right. That's what you have to read it in. Take things in context. All right. Manus Roberts, that preacher who told me, hey, you can go to church Wednesdays and Sundays. And I was. That preacher was very adamant, and I did not agree with everything he said, but that preacher was very adamant about people following along with the text. If you don't have a Bible in church, what are you doing? No, we don't go to church to listen to 20 minutes of music before a preacher gets up there for 10 or 15 minutes. We don't do that. We're there to hear the message, and that message better come from the Bible. Just saying. Amen. We could all witness Matthew 7:15 through 16. By all means, you guys look that one up too. She is a good person, in my opinion. Stephanie, I lost my train of thought, so I'm not sure who we're talking about there. Stephanie Smith, accidentally deleted, unfriended, and blocked people. My bad, my misunderstanding. And some of the people that he blocked, this one guy posts that I think it was his 87-year-old grandmother or mother, wouldn't harm anybody, incapable of harming anyone. Fucknut Sheriff Joe blocks her. What are you doing? Honestly, dude, do you plan on having any political career whatsoever? You've already kind of pissed that away by charging a 16-year-old child with DUI because you were scared to death to charge a child predator and rapist with it. And the only reason he got charged with that at the end of the day is because we're on here raising absolute hell about it. So, I don't know, man. I was told too, God, I just remembered that. I get so much information coming in. I was told, I don't know if it's true or not, probably is. I was told that Sheriff Joe has requested police protection because of this show. I was, to use a white people word, flabbergasted. Why does the top law enforcement officer in the sheriff's department, no, it's not Chris Jones. Oh, I threw his name out there too. I did that. I listen. I pay attention to what's going on. And when someone tells me that there might be a deputy out there that's fucking over people, I absolutely will mention it. Yes, I will. All right. So why the sheriff would need police protection, I am sure that I don't know. Maybe that 87-year-old grandmother that you blocked, Sheriff Joe, will pick up her walker and try to lay you out. Maybe that's what you're scared of. I don't know. Or maybe you're scared of some harsh language. Harsh language. Well, harsh actions, harsh wrong actions call for sometimes harsh language. I promise you, Sheriff, that harsh language will not physically harm you. It won't. It won't. It may emotionally harm you because you have very thin skin. It may upset your ego because God knows you've got one. It may mentally damage you a bit because, man, I can talk some shit when it comes down to it. It may do all that stuff, but I don't think that you need police protection from someone up here talking. Good Lord, man. I guess what the problem is that you and Happy and Scott are just upset that, everything was going just fine. We didn't know what was going to go on, and we didn't expect, who would have thought that a criminal would be beating the absolute dog shit out of us? I'm beating you like you stole my cookies. That's how I'm beating you. That's why I'm offering those free Zoom sessions. If you'd like to schedule one, I'll give you honest feedback. I'll give you honest, impartial feedback of how you're fucking up and how best to defend your position, which, is indefensible. It's indefensible. It is. It's indefensible here on earth. It's indefensible to God. It's indefensible. Okay? Marian Eastep. I'm going to talk about Roy Campbell in a second, too, because I guess some people are saying, well, Roy Campbell is his great uncle, and he evidently ain't too interested in finding out anything on that. Well, you can refer to the Brett Johnson Show, number 86. Number 86, it's on YouTube, where I talk about Roy Campbell. I'm going to talk about him again in a minute. Monster Rehab. Man, it puts some hair on your nuts. I'll tell you that. Speaking of nuts, hopefully Bill Back's nutsack has dropped off over the weekend and went splat on the ground. Don Rosenbaum. I'm glad someone is finally making light of this cause. There's a lot of people that think they're above the law and use the power to intimidate anyone they want. Just wait till some things come to light with our court. Few have already come out, and it's been interesting, but I've got a lot more. And Don, I wanted to talk to you. I'm talking to someone about the Amber Spradlin case, where evidently it's complete injustice in that way as well. So talking about that, let's go pick Pookie up here. The show is absolutely running over. I'm sorry about that, but I want to get these two things out before we close things up. All right. Marian Eastep, the grandfather of Joe Engel. Now, Joe Engel, he absolutely ran part of his campaign on saying, I'm going to find the murderer of my granddaddy. This injustice will not stand. I will discover who it is. Now, he ain't done dog shit about finding the murderer of Marian Eastep. He ain't done nothing. Now, Marian Eastep was a Pentecostal preacher. Now, I don't know which denomination is right. Don't know. I've been to a Pentecostal church. When I was 19, I was not always people who break the law. There's this perception that criminals are lazy. Criminals are not lazy. It's a lifestyle. We tend to be. I mean, you have some lazy ones, but we tend to be on point and working our asses off to break the law. It takes a lot of time, effort. It's a lifestyle. It's 24/7. It's a lifestyle. All right. I was not always a hard worker. Who would have thought? Age 19, geez. Age 19, my stepfather, man by the name of Jimmy Branson, he had been, my mom had talked him into quitting Starfire Coal Company and going into the coal business. And he did. He did. And we were wildcatting coal. So I learned how to illegally strip mine coal. We were wildcatting coal and went broke on a pit. All right. We weren't able to get it out. The loader went down and didn't have the money to repair it because they were actually living pit by pit. And we went broke and we were homeless. I say homeless. We lived in a 40-foot business trailer, had a pull-out sofa. One of the offices had been converted into a bedroom, had a small kitchen and a bathroom. Me, my sister, Jimmy, my stepdad, my mom, and a work hand lived in that trailer, I don't know, 16, 18 months. Robert, the work hand, slept on the floor in the kitchen. My sister and I slept on the pull-out sofa. And power would get cut off and all that kind of stuff. We lived off of deer meat and fried cornmeal for most of that 16 months. And my stepfather, he ended up borrowing the money to first buy a couple of steel chainsaws. And he went out and started to log. And then he finally got the money to buy some Husqvarna chainsaws, much better. And he offered to hire me to go out and log. Finally got a dozer and a loader and to go out and help him log. And I remember the day I was supposed to do that. I had my ass in the bed and he's loaded up to go. And my mom comes in, you need to wake up. You're going to work. And I was like, I got a migraine. I can't go. And I remember my stepdad, he got pissed off. Bedroom door was shut. He got pissed off. And I heard him say, he can't be a lazy son of a bitch his entire life. I'm a prideful guy too. So he drives off and I got up as fast as I could, got some jeans on, I didn't have work boots at that time, got my shoes on and a shirt and ran through the Ballfield Airport Gardens to meet him. He was stopping at the grocery store there right before you get to Circle T, was at, I forgot what the name of that shop was, that grocery. He was stopping there to get lunch and I ran through that field to go to work that day. And the pay, 10 hours a day, the pay was $2 an hour, $20 a day was the pay. And I worked my ass completely off. That first day, I thought the first 10 minutes, I thought I was about to die. You guys can't tell, I'm not the kind of guy that at that point was used to manual labor. Don't really run. Even when I escaped, I didn't really run. I just kind of walked quickly, But my stepdad, he was an alcoholic. He was an abusive fellow too, but he gave me that work ethic that I still have today. I don't do manual labor today, but I work my ass off to protect businesses and consumers from that type of criminal that I used to be. And I'm very effective on it. It's that's the point of this is we would be logging during the day. I'm talking about Pentecostal preachers. My most interaction with Pentecostal, I've been to a Pentecostal church before. I'd never heard anybody speak in tongues. So I'm sitting there in Walkertown at the church. A friend of mine had invited me to go. And this guy's just talking normal. And then he rolls into tongues. And I thought I misheard it. I was like, what did he say? And he starts talking normal again. Then he rolls into tongues again. I'm like, holy cow, what is that? So scared me to death. I was like, I don't want to do this. But as we were logging, we got that loader, and you put the bucket down when you finish your day. We'd come back the next morning and you could raise the bucket up, and because that bucket would keep heat, snakes, copperheads, and rattlesnakes, they would come and get under the bucket because that's where the heat was. Snakes would go toward the heat, and we would catch those snakes. We had that orange round igloo cooler, and I remember we one of the first snakes we caught this big ass rattlesnake, and I got to the point where you could take a stick, get its head, reach down there, grab it by the head, throw it in the cooler. All right, and we'd take all those snakes to the snake man, Pentecostal guy. He was a snake handler. And I still remember this day. We caught a rattlesnake right at the beginning of the morning, put that damn rattlesnake in that igloo cooler for those 10 hours. Needless to say, if you were in a cooler for 10 hours, you would not have a very friendly disposition. You might be a little upset. And this snake, I'm positive, was a little upset. Now, we knew this snake handler, and he lived in a trailer, and his entire trailer was full of copperheads and rattlesnakes. He had these little boxes, snake boxes that he kept them in. And I guess he had hundreds of the damn things. He even had a cobra. And he hand-fed the cobra. And he told us what happens is, you put a live mouse in there, and the live mouse can scare the snake so bad. Yeah, the snake's going to eat the son of a bitch, but the live mouse can scare the snake so bad that the snake won't eat again. And I guess that had happened to this poor killer cobra. So he had to hand feed the cobra. He would take the cobra, he'd take little raw hamburger balls and a pencil. He'd open the cobra's mouth, drop the ball in there, stuff it down. Wildest shit ever was. So we took this rattlesnake to the snake man, got out of the work truck, and he pops out, and we got a gift for you. So he just grabs the damn cooler, man, grabs the cooler, doesn't even hesitate. This guy opens the lid. That snake, man, that son of a bitch, you talk about mad. It was like you could almost hear it. I mean, it was rattling, but you could almost hear that snake saying, "I'm going to get you son of a bitches now." Quoting Tarantino's 25-17. Well, this snake, man, like I said, he doesn't even hesitate. He reaches down. That cobra's singing like a motherfucker. He reaches down, grabs the rattlesnake, puts it on his shoulders. And that snake, still singing, it stops singing. That snake just crawls all over him. Doesn't bite him, doesn't touch him. And we're sitting there going, that's interesting. That was my interaction with Pentecostals. Well, Marian Eastep, Pentecostal, all right? Is there a reason why I can only see my comments? Stephanie, I don't know. I'm going to turn on, usually I turn on where it's on the video feed as well. Used to be food fair. I think it did turn into food fair at one point. All right, so Marian Eastep, who Joe Engel swore, he wanted to be sheriff because I'm going to find out who killed my granddaddy. At Caldwell, this place is done, brother. They've ran it into the ground. This place is a shit show. It's too far gone. Heck, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe any person is too far gone. I don't believe that any town is too far gone. Paul, I know I quote the Bible a lot. Paul said that he was the worst of sinners, and Paul was able to redeem himself and become a pillar of Christianity. If Paul can redeem himself, people can redeem themselves, or God can redeem them, but they can change their lives. And a town is absolutely, or an area is absolutely capable of doing the same thing because those people are capable of choosing a different path. They just have to be given the avenue to do so. That's what I believe. All right. I do believe that. That's right. It was the JNR market. Marion. Thank you. I do believe that one person can change things. I do believe that a group of people can change things. I absolutely believe that if they can, if those people that are in power and corrupt and shielding child rapists, if they can change things for the worse, then it stands to reason that people can change things for the better. Simply my belief. All right. Marian Eastep. That fateful day, Estep was found in the Hazard, Kentucky area and shot several times near his car along the Hal Rogers Parkway. I believe it was around exit 56. If I'm wrong on that, someone please correct me on that. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. The murder occurred in broad daylight, and police suspect Estep knew his killer. Police still believe whoever is responsible for the slaying is still out there, and anyone with information should alert the Brett Johnson Show. Okay, it doesn't say that. It gives a phone number, but hey, reach out to the Brett Johnson Show because, we've been doing Sheriff Joe Ingle's job for him. We may as well continue to do that. Somebody needs to do something, Sheriff Joe, because you ain't. Shortly after his death, the victim's family told that the 76-year-old was known for picking up hitchhikers. His family warned him, but he ignored their pleas. Estep saw it as another chance to spread the gospel. When Estep was found, his front hood was propped up. According to the Herald Leader, he was shot once in the head and 3 times in the chest. There were signs of a struggle in the car. Estep was shot with his own gun. The only item that appeared to be missing was his Bible. His Bible. And Sheriff Joe has made the comment, if I find that Bible, I found the killer. Maybe. All right. I don't think that's really good detective work. But who am I to tell you how to do your detective work, Sheriff Joe? You've been outstanding detecting everything that needed to be detected about the Noah Back case. You've been outstanding. Why would I tell you how to do your job? Why would anyone tell you how to do your job? You seem to be just magnificent at it. That's sarcasm, by the way. I don't really mean that, Sheriff Joe. Don't take that as me, praising you, because I'm not. All right. The family believe a hitchhiker may have been responsible for the preacher's death. Okay. So here's some well-established facts. No, I'm not talking about the A&P. I'm talking about on that same road, not in the plaza there. All right. It was the JNR. The incident. Marian Eastep was found shot to death in his car January 10th, 2008. As of January 23, 15 years after, the murder remains unsolved, still unsolved to this day. Family connection and tribute. Joe Ingle, Eastep's grandson, became the Perry County Sheriff and often spoke of his desire to bring his grandfather's killer to justice. He noted that his grandfather lived his life based on his faith, a legacy he aimed to honor in his law enforcement role, which we know he absolutely did not honor. I am positive that Marian Eastep, and I did not know the man, but I am positive that Marian Eastep would not have the pride to call it his church. I promise you that. Personal connection. Sheriff Ingle, Sheriff Joe, revealed that his granddad had previously told him he would preach at his funeral, and that Ingle actually delivered the first sermon at Eastep's funeral. Okay. Ongoing investigation, Perry County Sheriff, blah, 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 blah. The only item missing was the Bible. Now, here's the thing. That narrative of a hitchhiker, that don't make no sense. Now, God bless Marian Eastep for picking up hitchhikers. Should I do that? All right. I do that, and sometimes I'll regale them with, I used to be this most wanted guy. Okay. Marian Eastep did that because he was a good damn man. He was a good guy. He believed in having that conversation with whoever he could. Good guy. And from all accounts, he was well loved in the Eastern Kentucky area and probably outside of that as well. All right. To say it was a hitchhiker dismisses a lot of things that happened in that case. A hitchhiker, first of all, why would a hitchhiker? I know we all believe in those horror stories of picking up hitchhiker, and hitchhiker is, Richard Dahmer, and he's going to eat you after he kills you and bakes you, and he's going to make, a lampshade out of your skin. We've all heard those stories. We're all told, don't pick up hitchhikers. Most people are okay. Most people just need a ride, man. That's it. Most people are just needing a ride. All right. I do not believe at all that it was a hitchhiker because I have the ability to be objective. Unlike certain sheriffs in certain counties in certain states, I have that ability. Come here, Pookie. We'll be objective together. All right. Come here, buddy. So it doesn't mention that his wallet was not taken. Ain't that right, buddy? His wallet was not taken. It wasn't. If you were an evil, flesh-eating, serial-killing hitchhiker, would you not take the victim's wallet and take the money out of it? Yes, you would. You'd buy you some dog treats, some pepperoni, maybe some rotisserie chicken. Yum, 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 yum. You'd do that. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. You would do all. He would do that. If Pookie were a murderer, he would do that. And look at that evil face he's got. If he were like that, he would do that kind of stuff. All right. Most crimes are crimes of opportunity. Hitchhiker would not, if he's going to take the time to shoot someone 4 times, say he shoots in the body mass first, and then finally in the head, or maybe an opposite, 4 times. If he's going to take the time to fire, to first wrestle the gun away from Marian Eastep, and then shoot him 4 times, you can bet your shiny ass, or Scott Blair's wide rectum, you can bet that he's going to take the wallet. You can bet that the last thing that's on his mind is taking Marian Eastep's Bible. I've just killed a man. I'm not able to eat him. What I want to take from that guy more than anything is his Bible. That Bible is a very personal thing. That's a very personal thing. It's a very personal thing. You know, we, as we get our Bibles, that specific Bible that some of us have for decades becomes part of us. You know, we know there are well-worn, dog-eared pages. We know we've got things underlined or highlighted, maybe notes in the margins. We've got this stuff. We know that Bible. All right. For that Bible to be the only thing taken, not money, for that Bible to be the only thing taken, screams that Estep knew the person who killed him. I do not believe it was a hitchhiker. I do not believe, and I don't think that Sheriff Joe believes that either. I'll continue in a second. Let's check comments. When he blocked all of us, he turned his back on many that still supported him. Yes, he did. I have took up for him and said, there has to be more to this. Now he has shown me who he is, and I will believe who he is. All right. Dina, you're right. Got the ends of county wrong. Hitchhiker would have taken your money. Absolutely right, baby blue. There's that adorable Pookie again. I know he's outstanding. That's a very nice looking Bible. It was yeah, that's my dad. My dad died 2 years ago on October 2nd. I got to live with him. I moved him in with me the last year of his life. He had his wife down in Panama City, Florida, had passed away from Alzheimer's. I was there in the house when I went down to see my dad because I knew she was dying, and I was there when she passed away. And at that point, the man, he gave up. He gave up. He really did. He got to the point where he couldn't walk, and I was living in Birmingham. Came down, he'd broken his leg, and I told him, I was like, Dad, you're coming up. You know, we're going to take care of you and see if everything's all right. And he never walked again at that point, and he chose to lay in the bed and piss and shit himself for that year. And he started to get sepsis, and it kept going in and out and in and out. And finally, the man passed away, and I got to know the man finally in my life. You know, this is a man that helped me escape prison. At the sentencing. He stands up. I want to make sure Brett gets a good life. He can live with me when he gets out. He starts visiting me. Hey, how'd you do that? I taught him how to do tax return identity theft, and he helped me escape from prison. All right. I don't even know why I told you guys that. Some comment that was there. But yeah, very nice looking Bible. That's my dad's Bible. And I thought it very fitting that I take his Bible and reference it from now on, you know, because a Bible, this illustrates what I was saying. A Bible is a very personal thing. The person who killed Marian Eastep chose to take that very personal item over profit, over money. And he chose to shoot, because it's a he. We all know that, right? It's a he. Most crime is committed by males. He chose to shoot him 4 times. So, yeah, it's not a hitchhiker. Sheriff Joe, from what I can tell, and from what I've been told, has not done much of anything in an attempt to use his position of power, his office, to find the murderer of Marian Eastep. So, guess what? Someone reached out to me, Joe, and said, hey, you know, they were asking me about Amber Spradlin, and this person reached out over the weekend and said, hey, you know, this sheriff, he promised us, and you know, Marian Eastep, well beloved. Do you think maybe you could talk about that a little bit on the show? We can, because somebody knows, like Roy Campbell. Somebody knows, and they're not saying anything because people who have historically spoken up in Eastern Kentucky have been punished. I don't give a flying fuck about what people think they can do to me. You're not going to intimidate me. You're not going to buy me off. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. My value is not monetary. My value is ideological. And that is a problem for you guys. So, ask if I could do anything. And what I'm going to say is, hey, you know, by now it's well known that I don't tell anyone's name. I just want the information. Don't tell anyone's name. I just want the information. And we're going to do something with that information. I have no respect of persons. I am impartial. I am unbiased. I dislike every son of a bitch that's doing something wrong. I don't play favorites. I do not. So if you guys got anything, it's usually a family Bible, right? Yes, Don, it absolutely is. Okay. Lori, you're such a wonderful person taking care of your dad at the end. Yeah, he, like I said, he just gave up and he blamed everybody for him giving up. If you got any information about Marian Eastep, by all means, you can report it to the sheriff's office or to the Kentucky State Police or to the Hazard Police Department or whoever. All right. They may or may not do something. I mean, from what I've told at the beginning of the show, hell, they didn't even tell the Commonwealth attorney the correct information about the video of Noah Back driving his little ATV. That he, let's be honest now, people who have seen those pictures, that dude, little too chubby to be fitting in that ATV. He would have absolutely had to have, you know, put the seat all the way back. You know, I would advise, I mean, they've got that semi-glutide or Wegovy. If you can't afford that, Noah, and I know you can, and your dad can write you a script for it. If you can't afford that, what you can do is you can go to the courthouse. You can go to the back of the courthouse because that's where Scott Blair works. You can go back in the courthouse because he likes the back entry. He likes the back door. You go back to the courthouse and you say, Scott, I understand that methamphetamine causes weight loss. I know you get dry mouth and your teeth rot out and everything, but, you know, I'm too chubby to be fitting properly in an ATV. So can I get some meth? Do you know? Would you know? You got a plug? You got a hookup? Just asking. Inquiring minds want to know. So you can do all that. They may do something. All right. You can also reach out to the Brett Johnson Show, where I promise you, you will remain anonymous. Where I promise you, something will be done with that information. Anyone knows anything about Marian Eastep, please. Now, there was also the comment that I received over the weekend that some of these people, at Brett Johnson, if he really cared, if he really gave a damn about the people of Eastern Kentucky, maybe he would do something, try to find out who killed his uncle, Roy Campbell. Well, again, I have done that. I did a show, episode number 86, Brett Johnson show. It's got Ronnie Buck Campbell on there, I believe, for a couple minutes until he lost connection. They said he'd find, Brett Johnson tried to find out who killed Roy. Well, I don't think I ain't forgot that. I didn't know Roy very well. I didn't. I knew Roy. My stepdad and mom, when he decided to go in the coal business, got a D9 dozer off Roy, which he overcharged us for. I'm not saying Roy was a bad man. I'm saying he's a businessman. All right. Roy was murdered, and his new wife was murdered. And of course, the door was evidently locked from the inside, or it had to have a key to lock the door, and that's how they found it. I guess June found the body and alerts law enforcement. It goes from there. And the comment was made, maybe Brett would do something about that if he really cared. Well, I am doing something about that, and I planned on using this show. I'm talking right now about child predators and corrupt and not a cold case, but we can go into that. More than willing to. All right. Now, my opinion, and I absolutely steered that episode of the Brett Johnson show toward this opinion. My opinion is that June and Paul Michael might want to answer some questions about that murder. That's my opinion. That's my objective opinion. All right. Evidently, there was a third individual who liked to barbecue a lot. Yeah, I got his name. I didn't mention that on that show because I didn't know about that individual at the time. But there was a third individual that liked to barbecue. I guess he had a barbecue truck or some bullshit like that. That was suggested that I look into that person. I will. And that when I was told that name, I was also told, now you got to be aware now, this guy that I'm telling you about, he's dangerous. And I looked at myself in that metaphoric mirror. I looked at myself and said, shit, I used to be United States Most Wanted. What am I supposed to be worrying about exactly? All right. Just because it had to do with computer work does not mean that I'm not willing to stand my ground. All right. If anyone knows anything about Roy Campbell and the thought process here is, and this is the weird bullshit. I'll go over the Roy murder some more on another day. But the family, and I forgot Roy's wife's name. Please forgive me if anyone is related and knows the lady. I never met the lady. I was locked in prison at the time. I understand that Roy really loved that woman, and that there was some question about Roy giving everything to her. That, in detective work, Joe Engel, what you call that is motivation. That's what you call that. So you want to know, it's this thing called Occam's razor. The simplest solution tends to be the correct solution. Kentucky State Police, who evidently didn't investigate this either, would do wise to remember the principle of Occam's razor as well. All right, so that's motivation. Oh, we ain't going to get shit. He's going to give it to her. He ain't even been married to her that long. He's going to give it to her. So she gets killed. He gets killed. And it's unsolved to this day. Kentucky State Police investigated. Let's be honest. Kentucky State Police, they can sometimes not be the best investigative source on the planet. Certainly we know that about elements of the sheriff's office and the Hazard PD. We know that. Now, what's interesting is Roy lived off exit 56 as well, or around that area. So maybe we've got this Bible-carrying hitchhiker that just likes to shoot people. Maybe. Shit, Brett, there's a connection. You solved it. That's what you call poor investigative work, which might be the solution that some of these investigative powers might come to at the end of the day. I don't believe that. So, what did happen though is that after the death, there was a concerted effort to cover up or to not discuss Roy Campbell's murder. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because June did not want it discussed. We're not, and to the point, the family of the wife, they actually rent a billboard. They get the money up, they go to June, and they're like, hey, will you help us rent this billboard so that we can ask for information about the murder of Roy and our family member, his wife? And June told him, fuck no, fuck that, fuck you. Get out. That's what June told him. So his family goes and rounds up the money to rent the billboard themselves. Billboard goes up. Not where it is now, mind you, but where people can see it. It goes up. June, I guess June was driving her evil self down the road one day, and she's driving, I got the money, I'm gonna buy all kinds of bullshit. June was driving down the road, and she glances up, and she sees the sign, and she's like, holy fuck, what is that? So she calls the people who own the sign. If you guys want to make any money at all anymore in Eastern Kentucky, you will take that bullshit down right now. And they did. So the sign was moved to a place where not many people will see it, not on a busy highway, and the murder remains unsolved today. Now, I have my opinion. I've said my opinion. I think who needs to answer some questions from a real investigative source might be June and Paul Michael, who's down in Florida someplace with a very expensive boat, living on a very expensive property, doing very expensive bad things. Don't tell me that I won't talk about something or that I don't care about something. I don't have respect of persons. I follow that Romans 2:11. Yeah, I may have been a bad guy. That doesn't mean I don't know the right damn thing. We're going to check comments. We're going to close the show out. I am so sorry that we have ran way over today. All right. Lori, thank you. Such a wonderful person. Thank you. Let's move down to something I've not seen. Don Rosenbaum, hell no. They all work together, saving their own asses. Absolutely right. That's the corrupt. Stephanie Smith, preliminary hearing tomorrow in district. Hopefully it is bound over to circuit. Hopefully it is. I was told that there might have been an attempt to ultimately call a mistrial once it does go to trial. If that happens, we will know that that was the setup from the beginning. Hazard Kentucky Hazard Boys. People needs to know when they look at the drop box of Happy's files, when they click on each picture, some of them have more files under the different pictures. Exactly right. One has 70, then another has 170 something. So bear that in mind, please. Okay, there's tons of pictures, everything else. Those are children. Don't give a flying damn if they were in high school. Those are children. Those are children that Happy Mobilini, Donald Mobilini, let party, alcohol, everything else. Our responsibility as parents, but as members of a society, is to protect, guide, and steer the children of our society, period. That's one of the responsibilities. All right. If you're sitting there, well, they were old enough to drink. No, they weren't. That's against the law. The reason that they're not old enough to drink is because they're not capable of rational thought. Their brain hasn't developed to that point yet. So when you give children alcohol, allow them to party, all this stuff, and you as an adult are signaling that that's not only accepted, but cheering it on, when you do that, you're setting that child up for future failure. That is not what we do. We're supposed to guide, steer, protect, and nurture these children to be productive, good human beings. That's what we're supposed to do. And that has not been done by people like Donald Mabellini, Sheena Breeding, Luke Glazer. It's not been done. Okay. And Laura Joe Pelfrey. I'll throw that name in there too. All right. Now, Chris Jones, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm not in hazard. It's not like you can pull my ass over and intimidate me. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen, man. All right. Pull somebody else over, as I'm sure you will. Pull someone else over, try to intimidate them and do the wrong damn thing and use your position of power to whatever the hell you're doing it for, but not for anything good, evidently. At least that's what I've been told. Just saying, been told that. All right. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Lord. We're closing things out now. All right. So it's a long show today. I apologize for that. My name is Brett Johnson. This is the Brett Johnson Show. We're going to see if those charges are dropped against Noah Back's child victim. If, someone does the right damn thing. And if they do, I promise you, this show will sprinkle accolades on that person. And God, I'm positive, I don't know, God, I can't speak for him, but maybe he will smile upon that person and upon the area, and the sun will shine and colors will become more vibrant and the children will sing more melodic and everyone will have a bright, shiny, happy day. All right. We'll see if that's going to happen. If it doesn't, we're going to continue on regardless, because this show, the Brett Johnson Show, is now about the people of Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, stomping out the corruption, fraud, and the predators of that area. My name is Brett Johnson. This is the Brett Johnson Show. We are Eastern Kentucky. We are Eastern Kentucky. We are a very proud people. We are a very good people. We do stand tall. We do the right thing. We have had enough. Until tomorrow, 8 a.m. Central, or 8-ish a.m. Central, my name is Brett Johnson. Just do the right damn thing.